Kareem Copeland from the Washington Post.
Kareem.
Cope, what up, man? How are you, buddy?
What up, fellas? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
What's happening with you, brother?
Thank you for coming on, man. So BMitch, you'll appreciate this. Kareem is probably expecting a fair amount of airtime tonight. He's in the barber's chair right now, getting fresh for the evening.
You know what Prime said? You know, you look good, you play good. So
you know, get paid good.
I had to get fresh before game one. You know how it is.
What can we expect
Smart
tonight,
man.
Kareem?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
What can we expect? What are we looking for?
Well, you know, it's an uphill climb for the Mystics. You know, this is a bit of a transition year for them. You know, gone is Elena Deladon, gone is Natasha Cloud. They're Shakira Austin is now moving into a bigger feature. Her and Ariel Atkins are kind of the cornerstones of the franchise now. So it's going to be an interesting season, just in the way that, you know, nobody likes to use the word rebuild anymore, but they're retooling a little bit on the fly here. So, and this is a damn good New York team coming in that, you know, just came off of a finals appearance, and they're loaded again this year. So tonight's going to be interesting. It's season's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of growth from a young team. Let's put it that way. They brought a lot of people in on shorter contracts, got a little bit younger. So it's going to be a lot of, you know, there's going to be some nights where they're growing and trying to figure things out, to put it in a nice way.
Kareem politely saying there's going to be some butt kickings here is the vibe I'm getting. Does that sound about right?
When you've got a trio of Shakira Austin, Ariel Atkins, Brittany Sykes, I don't expect a whole lot of butt kickings per se, but it's going to be, you know, the last couple of years we've been talking about them, you know, as a surefire playoff team, and then you kind of see what happens. If they make the playoffs this year, that's probably a best case scenario, just because, you know, they're just growing. You know, they added Aaliyah Edwards with the number 6 pick. You know, this is a team that's really kind of looking forward to 2026. They've got 2 first-round picks next year. And so this season and the next are kind of going to be, you know, growing pieces, adding pieces, watching some of this youth on this team grow.
You look at the NBA, I mean WNBA right now, with all of the hype from Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, all those girls coming from college to the WNBA now. It's a lot of hype. Do the Wizards have some of that? I know Aaliyah Edwards was signed, but can they? I mean, what's what I'm looking for here? Can they take that same stuff and build to get a lot of excitement, and will in turn get paid off of it?
Well, I think everybody's going to be able to capitalize off of it. You know, this is one of the most anticipated seasons in quite some time. And first off, before we even got to the Final Four and the crazy numbers, crazy viewership numbers that they put up then, you know, the Final Four, well, not the Final Four, but the W Finals last fall, you know, they were putting up their best numbers in 20 years. And so I think the W was already kind of starting to capitalize in that way. Then you add the craziness of the Final Four and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And, you know, some of these players are coming in now with huge followings, huge social media followings, capitalizing off of NIL. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. So even though they don't have specifically one of those people, and hey, a lot of people know Aaliyah Edwards. You know, she's coming from a UConn program that was stacked, and you know everybody knows about Gino and what they've done over the years. But I think it's everybody. I think the league wide is trying to capitalize on this. You know, they're announcing more and more business opportunities every day. You know, yesterday they just announced an underwear deal with Kim Kardashian's company. Yeah, you know, so this is, you know, everything's growing. They may not have that specific name right now here in DC, even though people shouldn't overlook Shakira Austin. it's gonna, everybody's gonna capitalize off of this, and everybody's gonna benefit off of this.
Dude, so I saw that, and I think it's great. Like, I support anybody making money. Does the NBA have an underwear deal?
I don't believe so. It's interesting, some of the marketing opportunities and some of the partnerships that they've gotten in the last year. And when that came out yesterday, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. But hey, get that paper any way you can.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
Totally.
sure. So, dude, obviously, we're talking with our friend Kareem Copeland, covers the Mystics and the WNBA for the Washington Post. You can follow him at Kareem Copeland, KareemCopeland. They've also announced that now all of the WNBA is going to be flying private.
Yep.
Were they just charters before, or were they flying like regular, like how you and I
They were
fly?
flying like we fly.
They were flying with me. I was on their flights often because me and Annie Constable that covers the Chicago Sky. We're actually the only two in the country that do full travel with the WNBA team. And when I'd be in the airport. I mean, I'd sit next to Mike Tebow sometimes. I'd sit next to players. They are literally on the exact same flights that I was on a lot of the times. And it was so weird because I'd be sitting at the airport bar having a drink and watching players just
Not you, Kareem.
going, yeah, right. That's very unlike me. But you see them just like wandering through the airport, killing time like everybody else because you're there, 90 minutes before your flight. And so it was the oddest thing. And the last, honestly, the last couple years, most teams, even though that's not ultimately what you want, and it's a good change, but most of the time they'd be left alone for the most part. People would recognize them and maybe strike out casual conversations every now and then, but it really wasn't too much of a big deal. But, in the last year, just the popularity of the game and, you can't have Caitlin Clark just walking through the airport and not being bothered. I mean, Brittany Griner last year, trying to get through the airport, and there's, somebody kind of ran up on her and was shouting at her, kind of I think he was a right-wing social media commentator guy. Yeah.
They run up and catch a two-piece real quick.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they had to up their security. And it was just a safety matter more than anything. I mean, we can get into the health part of it also, which is a whole nother thing, trying to cram them in these tiny flights and going back to back to back. That's a whole other conversation, but just from a security standpoint, it's something that needed to happen and is finally here. And especially, we've been sitting here all this time talking about the popularity of the game. Mm-hmm. It's tough to have them just walking by themselves around random airports where just anybody can run up and say whatever and do whatever, and you just you never know.
Yeah, but
there's crazies out there.
The ultimate thing though, if they want the respect to be given to those ladies like they were saying, how the hell can the league be out here making them fly like they're in high school? They had to step up and do something to make it happen, and I don't know why it took that damn long.
It was a running conversation that, hey, when you leave from college to go to the WNBA, you are going to have, less amenities. Like, Maryland, for instance, Maryland and all these colleges, they fly private everywhere. They charter everywhere they go. But then you get to the W and, Indiana, that first game had to fly. They hadn't implemented yet. So that very first game, that first preseason, the game that they played, Caitlin and the entire team had to fly, regular, just like everybody else. You see, that didn't last long. When was the last time she, to go to a game, flew, regular flights with everybody else? At Iowa, quite some time, I would assume, if ever during her career. So that's something that needs to get changed, and they're still implementing it, but it's good that they finally announced it and finally got on board, because that's the thing that we've been talking about for years.